Hey guys, I hope you're all doing well as always. Today's video is going to be a story from Indiana that I hope you enjoy, and maybe at the end, depending on how long this goes, I have a little story of my own. Not quite of the same nature, it's just a little spooky thing that happened. So yeah, let's jump in, pull up a stump, and thank you for watching. Well, I have a story from when I was about 14 years old. I'm in my 30s now, so I can't say that every line is perfectly accurate, but I think that you'll get it. Also, I changed the names because I don't want this coming back to me, so don't be mad about that. So I was obsessed with outdoorsy stuff back when I was 14, and I was in Cub Scouts as a young boy, and I was currently in Boy Scouts. I wanted to be an Eagle Scout really badly at the time too. I knew every goddamn knot in the book, to be honest. So one week, a bunch of us go camping out into some woods in the boonies in Indiana, as Boy Scouts tend to do. We're a troop of 12 kids. One of the kids' dad was our scout leader, and he was also there. So we set up our tents, probably about a mile or so into the woods, and we just screw around the rest of the day, talk and do that stuff and explore like you know what kids do. Me and two kids decide that we want to go on like a secret mission of sorts to see if we could find the river before everyone else the next day. We'll call the kids Steve and Logan. So we're just walking along the path when Logan decides that he wants to take off running to race us. He bolts ahead and we chase after him. He looks right and comes to a complete dead stop all of a sudden. He's just staring at something in the trees. We get up to him and look, and there's a deer smashed against a boulder. The thing looks like it got hit by a semi. We go up to look at it, but immediately turn away because the smell is absolutely horrid. It's starting to get kind of dark too, and we're not supposed to leave the group like this, so we end up running back to the campsite as fast as our little feet can carry us. When we get back too, we stay up for hours, kind of bragging to the other kids, telling them about the deer and the smell and all that stuff. Now the next morning was canoe day. We all walked down the same path the three of us went down just the night before. I tried to see the deer as soon as we reached that part of the trail. It's gone. Not the deer, but the boulder that it was smashed against is missing. This thing looked to be like the size of a minivan, but again, I was 14, I don't quite remember the exact size, and something just moved this away. I silently freak out and keep walking. We get down to the building with all the water gear in it. The scout leader counts how many of us there are in order to get the right amount of canoes. He gets out 5 three-seater canoes. After a bit of screwing around, we all get in, and one of the kids rides with the leader to break the odd number of scouts up. I get back on dry land hours later and begin to walk back to the campsite. We talk about the canoeing stuff on the way back. Logan, Steve, and I were in one of the first boats to leave, so we just start asking everybody, kind of to be friendly, who they were with. Most of the kids were able to say who they canoed with, and of course the scout leader's son went with him. Wait a minute. Trent and Bill can't figure out who was with them in the canoe. They swear there was a third guy in their boat. I do a quick head count. Hold the phone. There's 12 kids and one scout leader. He got out 5 three-seater boats. We had one too many kids, so one had to ride with him. That means that there was an extra scout at some point. Somebody else was in the canoe with Trent and Bill. So fast forward to when we get back to camp. Nobody believes Trent or Bill. Everybody just refuses to hear it. No one wants to believe them. I speak up and I explain the math problem here. Everyone gets kind of quiet. The scout leader tries to regain control. Alright, tonight we'll all sleep in the mess hall. How about that? We gather all of our stuff up and bring it inside the dining area. Some kids are so freaked out that they sleep underneath the tables. Most of them just don't sleep at all. I, for one, stayed up all night looking out the window, watching and waiting for someone to try and sneak up on us or something. Eventually, I pass out from the pure exhaustion and get like 20 minutes of sleep before it's time to get up for real. That morning, while we're all eating and stuff, the scout leader tells us that what he thinks happened yesterday was that one of the boats must have been a two-seater by accident, and we all just got confused because, we're kids and stuff. He says not to worry and that we're all going to be fine, but nobody believes him. We pretend like we do to stop from kind of crapping our pants and stuff, but we actually don't believe him at all. We go about the day's normal activities without anything crazy happening at all. That night, we're all comfortable enough and we've all calmed down enough that we light a fire outside and we start telling scary stories. We actually spend all night out by the campfire just having a really chill time telling stories. So we all scoot our tents in closer to the fire and just kind of enjoy the night. I think the fire just made us all feel really safe, which was completely unfounded and a dumb thing to feel because of course we weren't. Uh-oh, I drank too much lemonade. I tell the scoutmaster that I have to go to the bathroom. He gives me the key to the mess hall. I go inside and I relieve myself. Logan and 2 other kids come inside after me and grab some bread to make toast with. We come back to the fire after locking the building up. I begin consuming the burnt bready goodness. We're moving through the bread fairly quickly actually, and I say to Logan, "Didn't you guys all grab a loaf?" He says, "Yeah," and reaches for the 3rd one, and it's not there. He starts looking around and kind of panicking trying to find it because he knew that he took it. He asked who the hell took his last loaf of bread. Nobody has it. I ask him, well, just who all went with you? You can just go get it from them and see what they did with it. He says, well, it was George and George who was with us. George gets real quiet, and suddenly a wave of fear washes over him. He starts really panicking. Somebody snuck in and stole a loaf of bread right along with them. Some person who was dressed like a scout. At this point, this was the final straw for our scout leader. He decides to cut the trip short. The next morning, we're all going to leave in the van. A few kids run independent head counts to ensure that there's just 12 of us. We're all here. No more, no less. We all pile into the van and we get the hell out of Dodge. I get home and tell my mom that we cut the trip short because there was a bear in the area that stole some food from us and wrecked a tent and that it was just too dangerous to stay. And she bought it. About 2 hours later, my mom comes into my room and asks me, Steve's parents want to know if he went straight home or did he go anywhere else after getting out of the van. And I think back about it, and I didn't really see Steve get out of the van, come to think of it. I don't remember sitting next to Steve. And then I start thinking, did Steve actually get in the van? And I think, but we counted 12 scouts. There were 12 of us. He had to be there. Wait a minute. Holy shit. Mom calls the scout leader, tells him what we think happened. He drives back to the camp and finds Steve barricaded in the mess hall. He took off for one final pee break, and we left without him. There was someone in the van with us, some other kid that nobody noticed, and like 3 people did head counts. Nobody noticed the stranger. Whoever this was, he's in the city now, or went back to the forest or something like that. I don't know how these things work. I talked to Steve a few days later. He says that he heard growling outside, and it's like there was a pack of dogs, but they were trying to speak to him or something, like trying to speak English. I tell him he sounds crazy and I don't believe him, but secretly, low-key, I definitely 100% believe him. So, tell me what you thought about that story. Do you think that it was real? Or do you think that it's made up or just exaggerated? Or do you think it's plausible? Let me know. One thing I will say though is that having been in different forms of scouts myself, now up here to clarify, we don't have just Boy Scouts, we have just scouts and boys and girls are in it together. And I think that my biggest troop at the time was 20 people. I'm not sure what I think the smallest one we ever had was 3, and it was me and 2 other guys, but the biggest one was 20. And I will say that it's likely easy enough to squeeze into a group of people, especially if they're just scouts and don't personally know each other super well. It can happen, that's all I'm saying. I'm not really saying if the story is whatever, that's up to you guys. But enough of my thoughts. Here is the story that I said I was going to tell. It's not like this. It's just kind of like a spooky kind of backwoods kind of thing. So where I live is pretty rural, as I've mentioned in a couple other videos. So we have like a lot of dirt roads, there's a lot of backwoods trails, there's like a lot of random clusters of houses on like a road somewheres that leads to nowhere and stuff. In one such place, there was a guy who lived there who, at the end of his life, had a lot of health problems and so couldn't pay his bills and all that stuff, but he was taken care of by like benefits and all that stuff. But eventually something happened, I don't remember what, and his house burned down. Now obviously he had no insurance because he had no money, so he ended up living on the plot of land in like a camper trailer that had like a shed attached to it, which is a situation that nobody would really want to live in, but that's a whole other topic. So anyways, about 8 years ago or so, he eventually succumbed to his illnesses and he passed away. And one thing that he loved to do was ride his four-wheeler. It was like one of the things that he used to do all the time. So near that house is like a trucking road that's used for log trucks, and it's a big wide open dirt road that leads from one highway to another one, and it's like a long ways and stuff, but it's a nice drive if you want to go there on a Sunday and listen to music or whatever and vibe along with it. So earlier this year, probably just before the summer started, so May, early June kind of thing, I was driving back this road in my car, because of course I was, and I see this guy coming on a four-wheeler, which is pretty normal, so I just kind of like move over a little bit to give him as much space as possible so I don't like, spray rocks on him or something like that, because I don't want to do that. But then I noticed something. I have the window down and I don't hear any engine, I don't hear any motor and stuff, so I stop. And I can still see the four-wheeler coming towards me, but there's no sound, there's no dust, there's no nothing. And as it gets closer, I'm like, I recognize that red shirt. And I am 100% sure that I saw the man that died 8 years ago, back in May. And then he kind of just drove by me, and I just kind of saw him fade in the distance, and that was it. But the four-wheeler was his, the shirt looked to be his, the helmet was definitely something that he would have wore. I don't know, it was pretty creepy. I just figured I would throw that one in there to give you a bit of a 2-for-1 deal this week. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed the story. I'll leave mine out of saying if you enjoyed it or not, but I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, then you can like and subscribe. I have a Patreon in the description if you want to take a look at that. And yeah, I will catch you in the next one. Thanks for pulling up a stump, and thank you for watching.